I'm Danielle Maestretti, and this is Shelf Life for the week of March 10th. We'll start this week with Briar Patch, which is a really cool magazine from Canada, as so many magazines that are cool are. It's kind of a radical magazine of politics and culture. Every year I look forward to their gender and sexuality issue, which usually comes around March. And this year they've blown previous gender issues out of the water. It's a really cool issue. My favorite essay is an essay called Adultery and Other Half Revolutions. And it draws parallels between the monogamous institution of marriage and sort of the constraints and surveillance of the capitalist economic system. And whether or not you agree that those parallels ought to be drawn, this article, which argues that adultery then is the natural form of revolt against the constraints of marriage, it's sure to drum up a little bit of discussion at your kitchen table or office cube cluster or what have you. Definitely worth reading. I raised my fist in angry disagreement several times and sort of nodded in gentle agreement others, so definitely worth checking out. Next we have Hip Mama, which is always a delight to read. It's a little magazine that comes from Portland, Oregon, that brings together lots of perspectives on parenting, the kinds of parents that you don't read about in Good Housekeeping. This issue has a couple of great articles, including one on a lesbian family that went to a Pride Festival and kind of looked across their picnic blanket and saw a little girl that looked an awful lot like their child, found out that both families had used the same sperm donor and their kids were half-siblings. So this article is just about sort of navigating the terrain of these new family structures. And then on the next page we have something totally different by Noemi Martinez, who has long reconciled being a single mother with sort of radical activism, and this is her really heartfelt article about pulling away from activism, just saying, look, I need to focus on my family, I'm overstretched, activism begins at home and I'm really going to own that. And it sounds like she's had a little pushback from fellow activists in her community. So next up we have The New Internationalist, which is really unique in that they get to report on all these great social justice activists all around the world, and they do great reporting on really troubling and underreported on issues, and they have this awesome stable of writers and activists that they find all over the globe to do the reporting for them. This issue focuses on the continuing scourge of maternal deaths. In some countries, like Niger, Afghanistan, Sierra Leone, women face a 1 in 7 or 1 in 8 risk of dying during childbirth. It's really appalling. They bust open sort of the worst countries and the best for maternal deaths in a series of really neat graphs. They have a couple of articles about the problem. And then what I really like about The New Internationalist is they always humanize what they're writing about. And here they have 2 stories, one by a woman who lost her sister who died while giving birth, and another by a man who lost his wife. And they're really heartbreaking, but they're really important stories, and I just don't feel like you see them anywhere in the mainstream press. Finally, we have the special spring issue of Intelligence Report, which is published by the Southern Poverty Law Center. This is their annual Year in Hate issue. They have found that hate groups are on the rise, really at kind of a record high. So they have a really detailed, and again, depressingly detailed, breakdown of where the groups are operating and kind of what they're doing. And then they have this map, which is reproduced in print, and it's interactive online as well, with what sorts of groups are operating where. But definitely worth checking out. They have this really difficult beat where they have to report on something nobody wants to hear about, but they do it really well. So that's it for this week. Tune in next week.